Good morning, my friends. Day 3 here at the Fling, and we are at the famed Heronswood Garden. This is what I've been looking just so forward to. Dr. Ross behind us is going to be leading a tour of some of the gardens. We are starting with he said this was a COVID project. This is the rock garden. And so I'm going to take you around and just kind of show you some of the treasures that are here. And oh my gosh, I've been talking for 2 days and my voice is going. So buckle up. It's going to be a good day. So this is one of the newer gardens, and it's made to kind of replicate the Cascade mountainous region of the Northwest here. And this particular area is super interesting because it actually has an underground pipe that they will flush cold water through to simulate the water that would normally run through the mountain range because these little guys love cold feet. So I'm going to bring you in close because this really cute one right here with the white flowers, this has actually been reclassified as a carnivorous plant because it has a sticky stem, and any bug that lands here, they actually will break down. See a bug, little bug right there? It will break down and be used as a food source by the plant, which is just absolutely incredible. And this is our version of the pitcher plant. It's a Darlingtonia. So just really, really interesting way. You're also going to notice just a ton of different varieties of manzanitas here. They're trying to plant a wide variety to see what will thrive in our conditions, not just survive, but what indeed will thrive. Because as moist as we are during most of the year, we have developed into an environment that has really hot and dry summers. You can see this manzanita up here not doing quite as well. We did get down to 12 degrees this winter, which was a doozy. Okay, the next location that we're going to is the Renaissance Garden, and I am just a wee bit behind the group here, but I am not going to stress about catching up because this pathway is absolutely just delightful. And so Dr. Ross was actually just talking about how they are collecting wild species of hydrangea, which is so fun for me as a designer because I usually play with all of the new varieties that are out and some of course the old staples. But how lovely. I've never even thought that there was such a giant world of wild specimens, but it is pretty unbelievable. So this next little spot is a combination inspiration from travels in Vietnam as well as the kind of more mountainous region here in the Northwest. And it is a combined design with Dan Hinkley and John, can't remember his last name. But you have all of these beautiful, water droplets dripping down the face of the rock and just incredible, incredible foliage. And it's a mixture of Northwestern plants, plants from Vietnam, and just this is actually, I think, one of the most spectacular ferns here. This gorgeous chain fern, and the foliage when it emerges is bright red. And the sound here, it's the best. Okay, I want to show you this too. This adiantum, just a baby, baby, baby maidenhair. It's so good. So we have arrived at the Renaissance Garden, and the Renaissance Garden is named essentially because there is a return to the natural state that this garden once inhabited. And they have worked very closely with the Skokomish tribe. Look at this lily right here. They've worked very closely with the Skokomish tribe to make sure that the naming is consistent with kind of history, culture, because this is now a garden that is owned and cared for by the Skloin people. I mean, it is just beautiful. So the whole garden is a renaissance. Okay, I have to take you back in here because this backwooded garden. Okay, first of all, look at these. Just wild. And then as we go back in here, this grotto is absolutely glowing. Look at this. So beautiful. Okay, I have to show you this fern. This is one of the most sensational. Look at this. Absolutely incredible. This is unlike I've ever seen. And look at this too. So here growing on the left-hand side of that stump is another climbing hydrangea that has been sourced and planted here. It was recently reclassified into the hydrangea family. You're also going to notice this incredible canopy of cedars here. This is a sacred tree to the Skokomish tribe. Cedar is one of the scents that I incorporated in my garden because it is such a sacred tree in our region. And to take any cedar down on this property, they actually do have to seek permission from the cultural council, which is pretty phenomenal. Cedars also in our region, I'm noticing a lot more browning. They are really suffering because our summers are getting more hot and dry. And so these ones are incredibly happy. They heavily irrigate this area to achieve that. And it's just magnificent. So we're back here at the entrance to Heronswood with this absolutely sensational hole at the entry. And then as we sweep around, this is one of the most crazy, bold containers. Of course, you can see Cindy Funes from Garden Revelry back there. We are both going absolutely bananas over this container because the mixture of color and texture and just like the audacity to throw like a redbud, a banana, a phormium. I mean, this is absolutely sensational. And then I don't think I've ever seen cotoneaster look that good. Oh, I mean, it does not get better than this. It simply doesn't. Okay, and just as I said that, a couple of raindrops are coming down, which is like just a gift after all of the heat that we've had. So we are about ready to go into the lower woodland garden. This is one of the original gardens designed by Dan Hinkley. And Ross is just explaining just the wide variety of things that are going on down here. Tons of climbing hydrangeas. We have a Tasmanian relative of the citrus tree, which is awesome. I'm actually smelling a leaf of it right now. And so when you crush it, it does have a slight hint of citrus and it performs really well in our climate. So pretty. Sweet little Astrantia still in bloom. And then as you pull back here, not only are the climbing hydrangeas gorgeous, this one is in bloom. Just absolutely stunning. Behind me is one of the most famous gardens in Heronswood. This is the column garden. And, behind on a lot of these trees, this is something that Dan Hinkley was famous for doing, which is pairing trees with climbing plants, such as climbing hydrangeas, in this case, aplenty. But one of the things that Ross was saying is that they actually don't kill the tree. It's not in their best interest to kill the tree. And it's more about finding the right vine for the right tree, because what it'll do is it needs to be able to compete with getting water and nutrients, and the climbing up the tree means you're adding weight and kind of a bit of a wind sail to it. And so the bigger the climber, the bigger the tree, the bigger the pairing. I'm going to spin you around and take you in to see this incredible column garden. This is the stunning column garden, and what you have is just an abundance of texture and just these incredible columns. And it, what's so interesting is from this location, with this gorgeous tree in the background and the climbing hydrangea going all the way up, it almost acts as the fourth column. And I think from a design perspective, if they had equally spaced these columns, it wouldn't have the tension and the interest, the visual interest that becomes just so apparent here in this trio. It is absolutely incredible. And quite frankly, it lets them all shine. Okay, I want to do one more shot. I literally just look behind me and just look at the depth and dimension that's been created here. All of this garden is so sensational. It is so layered. It is so unusual. I just absolutely love it. And it's all the little details. Like, come here. Look at the trunk structure in here. This is just natural sculpture. Okay, I want to show you two different hydrangeas that are part of the collection. And so when I say Dan Hinkley has collected hydrangeas and Heronswood is collecting them, this is what I'm talking about. This is actually a hydrangea, which is something that you wouldn't see normally. Apparently it has a pink flower, very, very beautiful. And then I want to show you this other one. This one down here, I'm going to go around. This one was just reclassified. This one is also a hydrangea. It's alternifolia. So, like, if you think about it, hydrangea usually comes with leaf pairs, right? But check this out, alternifolia, so alternating foliage. And this was just recently reclassified into the hydrangea family. But it's just a stunning addition. And then, as we swing over here, we have more of our classic macrophylla, which is just, I love these ones that have the open center on them. And just beautiful, beautiful icy blue. Okay, and then Mopsis macrophylla. This is so cool. That is absolutely brilliant. Okay, I'm going to do something kind of silly, but I have to turn this around to capture the downward facing blooms. Are you ready? Look at this. Oh my gosh. It doesn't get better. So we have arrived down at the Heron House, the formal gardens, and this is a very different energy than the woodland gardens that we just came out of. There are just beautiful specimens. There's more structure. There's a lot of drama in here. And as always, because it is Dan, there's some interesting treasures throughout this entire garden. And I believe there's a roof line over my shoulder here. I believe that's actually his old house. So pretty fun. One thing I'm really noticing here is a lot of depth of color. Some of these really dark-leaved sedums, incredible barberry. I mean, just really sensational selections. Columnar barberries. Oh, and then look at this. Holy cow. And a lot of warm tones here. Oh my gosh, and look at this little cutie right here.
It's been accumulating. That's what happened.
Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous little GM. I wanted to go back really quickly to show you. I just had 2 seconds. I wanted to show you this one tree that you just never, ever, ever see. This is an English oak, and they prune it into this ball form every year. And it is only reproduced from cuttings. And what's so cool is you can see here this clematis that's making its way up to the top. And there's a tiny pink bloom up there. But this purple English oak is really, really wonderful. And it just pulls the intensity of this story together. And then as we come down here, just a very welcoming porch. And then these are more of the formal gardens that are outside Dan's former home. And this passageway all the way through, I've just got to show you this. And then we're going to go have lunch. A beautiful singular vessel, a weeping styrax here to the left, this beautiful windmill, another specimen collected by Dan Hinkley, of course. Gorgeous collection of lilies. And a singular vessel leading underneath this pergola. This is majestic. It is packed, it is layered, it is color, it is texture. It is really kind of everything you desire in a garden, and unusual too.
Wait for the people to gather, and then we shall have a little exploration of the potager. And if you've never heard the term potager, it's an ornamental French vegetable garden. Well, the potager used to be a vegetable garden when Dan still lived here. Today, it's the place where most brides choose to have their weddings. And so we've taken most of the vegetables out and filled with bedding plants. And we switch out the display so that we have bulbs in the spring, and then we have summer bedding. And the goal with the potager is just that it will be flowery for as long a period as possible. We have a few rare plants in here. We have a really rare holly over there, and we have our dawn redwoods here as well. But really the focus of this is on bringing color and show all through the year, but mainly from about May until October, because that's our primary wedding season. And of course, income from weddings is one of the things that helps us to keep the garden afloat. But let's head out and go and visit the Skull and Connections garden so that you hear a little bit about that. So you'll see here the back of the potager is lined with bamboo, and we specifically chose Varieties species because they are less runny. These clumps have been in here for a good 15 years, and you can see that they're still roughly in individual clumps. Around the corner though, we're going to see what happens when you plant a bamboo that is a bit more runny. These were put in long before even I worked here, but they've been pretty good. They've made a good barrier. They keep the potager feeling distinct and unique. But this beast here, this is a Phyllostachus species, and we mow around it, so that keeps it from popping up in the lawn. But if you look under the hedge here, you'll see shoots of the bamboo, and they often pop up in the potager on the other side there. You can see the new canes coming up. Here's one here that's just beginning to unravel. Here's another one of the new ones here. This is one of this year's canes. You can see the culm sheaths are just beginning to fall off it. It is a little too big and vigorous for this garden, but the kids who come from the tribe to visit the garden, they love to run around in amongst the bamboo. And I think we'll have it here as long as we can. Bamboos, though, do have this little trick of they flower and then they die. And so one day this clump will flower and then it will die completely. So it won't be with us forever, unfortunately, but nothing quite looks like a bamboo. So this piece of land here was added on to Heronswood later on. It brought Heronswood up to 15 acres. And our ultimate goal is that we'll build a new visitor center on this piece of land that will allow us to do more indoor activities and also more events like weddings and other things. And our goal is that this then will become the entrance to the garden. So the visitor center will have the ticket office and the gift shop, and people will all drive down here and enter Heronswood through the Skull and Connections garden, which is this garden. And this garden has only been here for about 1.5 years. It was designed entirely by my Skalm staff, and it's made up of 3 components: a prairie, a woodland, and a pond, because those 3 areas contain the plants that are important to the Skalm. So the prairie, the thing that's most important, of course, is camas. And camas is a bulbous plant in the hyacinth family. And the bulb of camas used to be the most important source of carbohydrate for tribal people in this area. So it was their potatoes, it was their rice. It's dying down now for the season. You can see some of the seed heads of the camas out there, but they harvest the bulbs and then they cook them in an underground fire for up to 48 hours. That breaks down some of the chemicals in them that make them less palatable, and it also makes them a lot sweeter. And human management of prairies has been very important in keeping prairies alive and also keeping prairies from returning to being forest. The trouble is when people began to colonize this area from other parts of the world, the first pieces of land that got turned into farmland were the prairies, because the prairies didn't have trees on them already. And obviously cutting down big trees like that is very hard work with a handsaw. And so we only have about 3% of our native prairie left in the Pacific Northwest. And it was native peoples would burn the prairies, and burning them would kill the tree seedlings and keep them as prairies. And now we have a whole range of rare species that only occur in prairies that are rare because there aren't so many prairies anymore. And that's because people are no longer managing the land for camas. And most Skalalm today have never tried camas. It's just not something they regularly eat now. They, like us, eat what they get from the supermarket. And so our goal here is to create an area where we can grow our own camas and return to some of the traditional methods of cultivating and harvesting the camas, and so that people can at least experience eating camas, even if it doesn't become a regular food source for them. These kind of brown, these things here.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
And camas is about that tall and can have either blue or white flowers. But one of the important things about camas is that one of the native plants that lives in prairies is called death camas. Latin name Toxicoscordion. It is very, very poisonous. And so the tribes would come and mark the plants during flowering season, so they knew which ones were the edible camas, and then they would come and harvest the bulbs later. But there's some confusion about whether the bulbs would be harvested in the spring or in the fall. But we've been trying to put in native meadow plants in here with mixed success. A lot of weeds coming up here. But I want to show you the pole over here while we're here. So this pole here is the Chief Kitsap Memorial Pole. And it was carved by a group of school kids in the 1970s. And the school kids were a mixture of Skalalm, Skokomish, and non-tribal kids. And they worked with some Skalalm tribal elders who taught them about traditional carving techniques. They worked out on it for a couple of summers. It was then erected at a local high school, and on the first night that it was put up, it was burnt by vandals. It used to be about 50 feet long. It's now 23 feet, because when they burnt it, the lower part wasn't salvageable. The tribe then took what remained and took it back up to the reservation, and it's been there ever since. But in the last year or two, they started to notice that it was decaying and pieces were falling off. And so they took it down and brought it here. It was carried into location by tribal men, placed on boughs of cedar underneath, with a lot of singing and dancing. And now it will stay here for the rest of its life and gradually return to the earth. It's surrounded by plants of significance to the tribe. This is Sidalcia hendersonii. It's one of our native checker mallows, but we also have a range of sword fern, native hazel. We have various gooseberries and currants, all plants that have some kind of significance. One of them is our local native lupin, and actually the Skalalm word for purple is lay lupin, because for them the concept of what purple is the color of a lupin flower. But this is the Skalalm Connections Garden. This is the wooded section of it, where you'll see, of course, big cedar trees, but you'll also see a number of important berry plants like salal. It's just beginning to produce its berries now, and a number of other herbal plants that are of great significance. And then over to my right is the pond, and in the pond we grow things like sweetgrass, cattail, skunk cabbage, all of which are important tribal food plants. Skunk cabbage is used, the leaves are used to wrap seafood, because when they cook seafood in underground ovens, the leaves help to keep the juices in and prevent cinders and ash from mixing in with the food.
Can you point out the sweetgrass for me?
The sweetgrass is down in the pond, and it's a little bit of a walk to get in there to see it, I'm afraid. It's used for weaving, primarily. It's a grass that grows in damp, marshy environments, and the leaves are harvested to make headbands, baskets, that kind of thing. There's a few different plants that are called sweetgrass. So in the east, what they call sweetgrass is a different species to what they call sweetgrass here. But now we're in the center of our traveler's garden, and this is our other new garden, and it focuses on plant collection in the wild, because that's always been an important source of plants for Heronswood. And we have three landscapes. To my left is Vietnam, to my right is Chile, and the bit we've just walked through is the Oregon-California border. And we're trying to show plants that grow well in those places that will also grow well here, but also give people the opportunity to travel to those places without having to go on a plane. They'll get to feel like they're in Vietnam or Chile. The idea is that the garden will be immersive. None of the trails interconnect, so you can't walk from Chile to Vietnam. All trails lead here, and we'll eventually have signage at each of these entrances saying, "Welcome to Vietnam," and telling you a little bit about the history. And Vietnam we chose specifically because we've been collecting there for over 20 years. It's a country that's mainly tropical, and so most of their plants aren't plants that will grow here. But in the north of Vietnam are a series of mountain ranges that move up towards the Chinese border. And those ranges are high enough that they have snow on top. And below the snow, you find forests of rhododendron, conifer, maple, magnolia, and oak, things that we can grow here. And that's what you have in this garden. And what you see at the moment really is the plants that we already had at Heronswood from Vietnam that we've moved in here. We've spent the last year and a half moving things. We'll continue to collect in Vietnam and bring more plants in so that we can have them in our Vietnam garden. And of course, Vietnamese is said to be the most spoken language in Washington after English and Spanish. So it seems appropriate that we have a Vietnam plant collection here for people to see. You can see a little family of bush tits playing in that shrub over there. But I'm going to walk you through Vietnam. See the little family of bush tits down on the gravel there? That's a big party of them. So you'll see hydrangeas, of course, very familiar. These are hydrangeas that Dan collected in Vietnam. They are a heteromala. Hydrangea heteromala is a large, shrubby, lace-cap hydrangea, kind of reminiscent of hydrangea aspera, if you know that one, but they don't have the coarse hairiness that you find on aspera. We have a lot of space here to fill, and so for the moment we're stuffing it full of everything that we've got to try and keep the weeds down, not always successfully, but gradually the goal is to bring more diversity from Vietnam and gradually replace some of the duplicates of the plants that we have here. But some of the plants are a little on the strangely shaped because they've maybe been extracted from other parts of the garden. This mountain ash here, this came from the potager where it was getting too large, and now it's doing very well growing here in the traveler's garden. And around this corner here, yes, this is a holly that's native to Vietnam, and it was stuffed in at the back of the potager, completely surrounded by other things, which is why the lower part is all naked. But now it's putting on new growth. It's actually just finished flowering. And we're hopeful that we'll get a bigger and fuller plant. Once the woody plants have grown a bit of a canopy and have created a bit of shade in here, then we'll be able to start bringing in the herbaceous things from Vietnam, the orchids, the ferns, the gingers that really love to live under the ground here.
Schizophragma.
Schizophragma. And if you want to see another one, we have another great schizophragma over here. That's what schizophragma can do. And next to it is a variegated European field maple. We have some good hydrangeas here. And then we have the silver vine. This one's particularly fun. This is Alstroemeria isabellana. It's from Brazil, and very few Brazilian native plants will grow well for us here, but this one does.
Alstroemeria.
Alstroemeria isabellana.
That is wild.
Very vigorous.
Alstroemerias do well up here?
Most Alstroemerias do very well for us, if not too well. This one, it just has very distinctive foliage. It's a lot more drought tolerant with the silvery leaves, bird pollinated. And if you look inside the flower, they have very nice kind of a yellow interior.
So here we are at the next garden of the day. This is a private garden. And what I love about this is look at this street. This is just almost like nondescript street, laurel hedging. And this is always the most fun surprise because you just simply never know what's going to be on the other side. So as soon as you turn the corner, huge hedge. And you can barely see the little tip of the house as just there's an incredible unfolding of all of this goodness. Okay, we're gonna go towards the back and see what this little magic space holds. Just beautiful layering. Look at this gorgeous hydrangea. Okay, this is so clever. Look at this. How about this for the most attractive support you've ever seen for a hydrangea? This is actually the second one I've seen of the show with this incredible ruffle edge. So beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at this mushroom in here. A beautiful piece of art just centered beautifully here. I love how just considered this palette is. This is an incredible composition. And I want to take a moment for the side entry. This is a gardener's garden. Like you just can tell. You can tell it's a gardener's garden. Found treasures lovingly tucked here along the porch. And then over here, boots at the ready. And clearly we have a thing for frogs. Okay, amazing climbing hydrangea. This is the schizophragma. Blooming her little head off. So gorgeous. Ooh. And then I love this hidden gate garage being just smothered in vines. Oh, okay. How about this for an entry? Holy mackerel. This is beautiful. The hydrangeas, the evergreens, the goshiki, silver tipped rhodie, all the sweet little parasols, cotinus. And I just have to show you this little peekaboo. This is what it's about. It's like just enough of a sneak peek to want to lead you around the corner. And I don't know if you can see it in the distance, but right there, there's a little reflecting ball. And it just like it's like a tractor beam into the garden. Okay, but I'm going to take you in close on this guy. Gorgeous. And I also wonder, these are glass balls. And my dad used to live in Hawaii, and these would wash up on the shores. And so I kind of wonder, they'd wash up from Japan. I kind of wonder what the story is there. Cute little studio space. Look at all of those vintage lamps. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't mean to be a creeper, but I might ask if they're selling their lamps. Oh, cool. Little pot with a begonia. This little vine. It's on. I mean, this is so playful. It is so fun. Whoa. Look at this. Holy cow. And this is the little scuttle through that we just came through. Oh my gosh. Okay. I cannot wait to see what that is. And they've tucked all of these parasols throughout the property, and they are like the ultimate in functional yet ornamental. I mean, it's so good. You know what's so funny? I'm noticing like these little trough moments I enjoy so much. And then look at this. Collecting rainwater. And even the saucers tipped on end, it's like they all serve a purpose. It's all almost like art. So I'm in the back of the garden right now, and I found a super cute hydrangea that I want to show you. This is Hayes Starburst. It's not one that I have seen really, and certainly have never played with, but I feel like it's one that needs to make its way back into my garden. And this homeowner has over 150 hydrangeas, which are just incredible. This is Hayes Starburst. I'm bring you down in the shade here to look at this one. Look at that bloom. I love that it's super open in the middle. This is a total starburst. It is sensational. And it looks like it's an arborescence because it's just on this like nice new wood. That's gorgeous. That is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, I want to show you another arrangement that I think is really, really spectacular. What this homeowner has done is add in about 800 different layers, and then check this out. There is a deep red here. There's an earthy terracotta right in here. Down here, this is more of like the terracotta, the black clay, and then bringing in this bright red glass ball. And then look at this. Also, all of these gorgeous sedums. And it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. But somehow it just all works. It just all works. This is sensational. Okay, all right. Literally at every turn. Look at this. Look at this secret squirrel entry. I mean, my gosh. Oh, the cutest little work shed. This is amazing. And inside, you can see a little work shelf there. And then to the left, this structure of this taxus, this looks like a Taxus baccata. There's one called David. Let's see if I can get a better image of this. It has a little bit of like the chartreuseness to the leaf and a little tiny on the new growth. You almost get like a racing stripe right down the middle. Okay, and then I have to spin you around because you literally could hide back here. Okay, I think this is the most fun thing about being hidden in here. Look at this. We've got Deb photographing, all these other garden flingers photographing. Nobody knows we're here. Nobody knows we're here.
Secret squirrel.
It's so cool. Okay, I'm going to take you back around the back. Look at this back. That texture is so good. This container is good from 360. Incredible. So, as I almost fall over, I'm in the very back corner of this garden, right at their back fence line. And here is the reason why I am back here, is because this garden is like a sneaky gem garden. Things are hidden. Nothing is too open. It all feels like you're tucked into all these little nestled held corners, almost like you could play like hide and seek through these spaces. And as a kid, this would be so good. It would be so good. So I kind of want to take you to this back corner and then sneak you through to some other directions. So as you come back here from this kind of like industrial area, AC unit, yada yada, the pathway splits. So to the left is where we just were, and then to the right, no idea. We have no idea. We're just going to go on through. There is like a heady scent. So cool. And so there's like just all these little moments Another giant hydrangea climbing up that tree. So beautiful. Oh, isn't this funny? So you can tell, like, it feels like this is the next place that they're going to develop.
Yeah.
But what a cool, like, it's almost like a work path.
Yeah. I love this.
Okay, this is so cool too. Look, even on this back work path, on top of a stump, and another little work shed here, which, little piece of stained glass here, and then look at this begonia. Look at this thing. I mean, can you imagine the audacity, like just the unbridled joy to tuck this kind of a stunning begonia with this red underside all the way back here. And what's so fun is it looks good from the front, but it also looks good because here's our shed door here. You can imagine kind of like coming out this way, and check this out. There's like nothing, none of this is on accident. You're coming out and you get the hit of red, this pinky red, and then what's over here? Another red glass ball. I mean, it's all the details are so thought out. And then you sweep around again, and instead of having just a normal pathway, they've included all of these rounds, which is so fun. This is something I did in the Flower and Garden show this past year, is having all of these cuttings of trees that have fallen laying on the ground. And look at this. Just a vessel spilling out of glass balls. We're about ready to end our sneaky pathway and pop out onto the lawn here. And just look at this. There's really a theme of orbs too. Okay, the woman who is standing right here in the middle with the kind of top knot and the sleeveless blouse, the denim on denim action, she is one of the head gardeners for this property and is really instrumental in caretaking. And then as we spin over here to the right, this is the homeowner. This is Nancy, just right there in the yellow plaid skirt and light sweater. Really, I mean, you just look at her and you're like, this is an artistic, creative woman. And together they have created this masterpiece. And what's so interesting is it feels a little Heronswoody. It's layered, like things climbing on things. Look at this beast. Oh. And then look down here. They've hidden a glass ball within this one. Whoa.
And here's shades. So,
Oh, wow.
This is incredible.
Come on in.
This is
So
absolutely
they make
incredible.
a lamp. So you choose a base.
Look at this.
Yes.
Here's the bases in the corner. You choose a base. You put your base down, and then you get your beads or pieces or brass pieces
Right.
or whatever you want, and you can make actually a whole lamp for yourself. So they're all individually made.
Wow.
Oh,
thank you.
wow. Oh my
This is
gosh.
awesome. Look at this
This
one.
is all bases that can be used and made into different lamps.
This is sensational. I am obsessed with vintage lamps.
Now the hardest thing, of
Oh
course,
man,
is
this
the shades.
is so good.
That you can get the shades, and then if you see a shade in
Luminola.
Pennsylvania, you get a box that's as big as your house that this thing arrives in. Because they're very delicate. As you know.
Wow.
So
I'm
Nancy
loving
makes
this. Oh my gosh. Look at this.
Oh
What a great face.
my
So she's making a
gosh.
base, or else, like I say, you can imagine
Yes.
what you can do with. So she'll make the whole thing.
Oh
my gosh,
Just
look at
make
this.
bases, then in shade. She gets the shades. And I was telling the people here, you young man will appreciate this, is how to make a lamp. Get a base.
Whoa!
Set your beads, and then you get
Okay.
build all your like this kind of thing. You can build all
This
your pieces
yellow is
up and then choose your
phenomenal.
shade, and then off you go with your lamp. But here's the
Holy.
stuff.
Oh my
And a lot of,
God.
and then make it completely your own lamp.
We have in our apartment tons of mid-century modern lamps. Like that's our thing.
This is
We
incredible.
love
This is
mid-century modern, so,
absolutely
yeah.
incredible.
And so these are all rewired and all set to go, so you don't have
Oh
wobbly-
my
no
gosh.
wobbly old lamp.
Okay,
So
look at this.
pairs and
Look
then all
at
the
this
shades, and then
power
the shades are the
strip.
hardest things to
Just
find.
boom, 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 boom.
So up on there is a really beautiful shades, and she has another whole workshop at the back with
Oh
all the
my
shades on.
gosh. Okay, look at this faux bois.
She doesn't. She has really.
This is
Sort
beautiful.
of got discouraged because she doesn't.
It's
hasn't
incredible.
resold them, but I don't know. I mean, you go to the store and you get. I mean, have these two bedside lamps. Astonishing.
Oh my
This
God,
big.
and she
So
has
then
it
I took the
organized by
trio,
color.
and I just ate it up.
What?
12 hours, just put that back.
What?
I wasn't going to put it up there.
No, you
I
weren't.
just sat there.
That's
And my
yours.
daughter was with me, and she goes, I go, your turn. No, okay.
You hold the baby.
So I'm inside the workshop of Nancy. She owns a company called Luminola. And I cannot express just the intricacy, the detail. I mean, this is just...
Add whatever you want to add.
I don't know if you can hear this,
All the
but
bits
she
are
starts
here.
off with a base,
Bases are
and you can
here.
add
Lampshades
whatever you want
around.
to add.
Put your lamp together however you
And
wish to have it.
Nancy Luminola,
Get creative.
she's good. Okay, I'm gonna look back through. Okay. And this is Nancy here, the lamp genius. Okay, this is our last little view before we have to go. Stunning seating area. Just texture on texture on texture. Incredible begonias. Oh my gosh. The faux bois planters. And just being kissed by all of these hydrangeas. All right, friends. Oh my gosh. Literally around every corner is a surprise. Oh. Okay. And we've come out the front. And if you can even believe it, all of this is this one little tiny magical home. I mean, just perfection and personality at every single turn. Okay, I am praying that the audio will come through because I realized halfway through my mic wasn't connected properly. That was one of the most stunning gardens. It was just chock full of creativity and energy and excitement. And oh my gosh, Nancy's lamps. I'm going to leave all of her information below. Luminola, she is a genius. And so this is Nancy Heckler, and she can basically construct anything your little heart desires using incredible vintage elements, so much character. I can't say enough things about just the lovely couple and gardeners that take care of that home. Just really touched my heart. Super cool. Friends, I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger. You are going to see Mr. Dan Hinkley's garden on the channel next week. It was phenomenal, and I think it deserves to stand on its own 2 feet. All right, friends, I'm going to see you in the next one, and in the meantime, please say hello to your garden for me.